My name is Nick S. Cortese, Cortese.
S-E?
Yeah, E-S-E.
And when were you born?
I was born July 1st, 1931,
Where?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit. Wow, that's a big city.
Yeah, was a big city.
It was a big city, that's right. So tell me about your family when you were growing up.
Well, first of all, my mother died when I was 5 years old,
Oh,
and my grandparents raised me. And when when they bombed Pearl Harbor,
mm-hmm.
I never forget it because it was on a Sunday afternoon, and when we first heard about it, and from that point on, I became very patriotic. I joined the Boy Scouts of America, and on the weekends, we would go on paper drive for the government, and then on weekends at night, we would put on our uniforms and we would go to the USO, and we would work the USO, setting up tables and chairs for the entertainment and for food and all that. And we did that for approximately 3 years.
Hmm.
And then I got out of the Boy Scouts, and I wanted to join the Army. My father wouldn't sign for me. My grandparents had no control over me because my father was his responsibility. So finally, when I was 17 years old, I was going to be drafted in a year or two, so I decided to enlist. And I enlisted on August the 17th, 1948. And I went to Fort Knox for basic training. And when I got out of training in school, I went to Guam and Saipan.
Saipan?
Saipan, right.
Mm-hmm. What was your specialty?
Well, we were engineers.
Combat engineers?
Yeah, well, at that time, we weren't the combat engineers. We were depot engineers. What we had in Saipan was all this equipment that was stored there for the big push to Japan, which never came. So our job was to go there, get all the stuff interviewed and document it, and we made catalogs with the part numbers and all that, and we sent them to Japan, Washington, and then from there, we got orders to ship this equipment from different parts of the world. And we had 15 months to do this job, and we did it in 13 months.
What do you mean by depot engineer? What kind of
Depot,
thing? Yeah.
depot is where it's like storage.
Yeah.
Where you got all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, if from Japan wanted a piece of equipment.
What did you do specifically?
What we did is we documented it. Say we had bulldozers, we say, okay? We documented by part numbers and all that, made a catalog, and we sent it all over. Then in Japan would say wanted bulldozers or whatever, and they would request it, and we would prepare it and ship it.
I see. Now I get it.
That's what a depot is. You know,
How did you like Saipan at the time?
Well, Saipan was still primitive from the Second World War. In fact, Saipan, there was 2 Japanese soldiers still alive then, and they didn't come out till, I think, 1962, I think.
Right.
And they didn't know the war was over.
They were in the cave.
We were in caves, yeah. And I got pictures of, not the caves itself, but from a distance.
I see.
I got it in my book there if you want to see them.
I'll see you later, okay?
Okay.
So
And
what happened to you after Saipan?
after Saipan, I came home, and they released me.
You were discharged in 1950.
Right.
Yeah. And then?
The Korean War broke out the next month after I was out.
Yeah.
Then on October the 4th, I was in the reserves. They put me in reserves.
Yeah.
And I got called back in from the reserves.
Hmm.
And I was shipped to Fort Lewis, Washington for advanced infantry training.
Mm-hmm.
And from there we went to Fort Lawton, Seattle, Washington, where we boarded ship and went to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't remember what dates we got to Japan, but anyway, in Japan we went to Camp Drake for assignment. And I was assigned to the 24th Division. Then they put us back on a train and shipped us to Incheon, where we had to get off ships. Now, this here is in December, not September, December. This is after the first initial
Incheon landing.
Incheon landing. And we got off the ship and sighted into landing crafts and brought us into Incheon because the ship couldn't dock because of the tide. And then I went to the 24th Division, Repo,
Where?
in Seoul.
Yeah.
Now let me give you some background here. The 24th Division was just coming back from the Yellow River, from up north. You know that when the Chinese intervened, in 1 month's time they made a withdrawal of about 150 to 200 miles from Sinanju, I think it was Sinanju,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to Seoul, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I joined my outfit around the 38 parallel. That's before Seoul. That's where I joined my outfit. And
Where? Remember?
it was around the 38 parallel because we were coming down, with our with our tails between our legs, You know
But
what I'm-
do you remember the camp name?
No.
Was it Old Baldy or Punchable or
No.
Heartbreak?
It was around, I don't know if it was Kumsong.
Gumsong?
I think it was around Kumsong, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
First of all, let me explain something to you. All the time I was in Korea, I didn't know where we were at because the towns didn't have the names in English. It was all in Korean.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know where in the heck. In fact, my company commander got killed in North Korea, and I didn't know it till I came home that we were in North Korea. We were around the Iron Triangle when he got killed in April of 1951.
So you were in Iron Triangle.
Yeah,
Mm,
but like I say, we were engineers. We weren't riflemen.
I see.
What we did is we fixed up roads, built roads for them
Uh-huh.
to get the supplies. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Take out mines, lay mines.
You did that all?
Yeah,
You did that too? You
Yeah.
taking out the mine too?
taking out mines and laying mines.
Oh.
Unfortunately, in taking out the mines, we lost a few guys. One kid was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He made a fatal mistake. He picked up a mine, got up, turned around, and he says to this kid from Iceland, the country Iceland, he was in the army with us. And he said, look, he says, this mine wasn't even armed. He took one step and put a foot on a mine, blew him into the minefield. Several mines went off and blew both of his legs off, and he died right there, right in the minefield.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
You saw him
Yeah.
dying.
yeah.
Oh.
And his blood all over. A big chunk of his back hit the Johansson right in the side. But these are some of the dangers of laying mines and taking mines out. So my company commander, he got killed. Like I said, we didn't know we were in North Korea. Because at that time, the Iron Triangle was not established. Because I found out later that it was Chorwan, Wachan, and Pyongyang. That was the Iron Triangle.
Pyongyang is not in triangle. No.
Pyongyang.
Pyongyang, yes.
Pyongyang.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Pyongyang, Chorwan, and Wachan.
Yeah.
Not Pyongyang. I know the capital is Pyongyang. But I didn't know that till later, that we were in North Korea. And what happened was, the infantry moved up, the 19th Infantry moved up, and we came across this bridge where a piece of artillery went through this bridge, put a big hole in the bridge, and our company commander, there was a minefield right down below. And it was what they call a bouncing Betty mine. You ever hear of that? Okay, let me enlighten you a little. A bouncing Betty mine is a mine that's set up that when you trigger it, it would spring the mine in the air and explode and would throw down shrapnel. Unfortunately, when the Chinese started dropping artillery on him, he jumped into the minefield. And he didn't have his chin strap from his helmet. He didn't have it hooked up. And his helmet came off, and when the mine went off, it looped part of his head off and killed him instantly. I didn't see that, but I was told that from the other guys. And then later on I find out that we were in North Korea, in the Iron Triangle area. So then let's see, we pulled back a little bit, then we went on the offense again. Now this is all in 51. And when I was getting ready to come home from Korea, what we were doing is they were having I call it a dog and cat and mice. We would take a piece of property, we'd go in there and blow up all the emplacements of Chinese emplacements, and then we pull back. This is around the time they were starting the talks with the Korean peace talks. Ceasefire, which never did come. And then I got my orders in July to come home. And when I came home, I got released back out of the Army, and they put me back into the reserves. And I was in the reserves till August of 1953, when I actually got my discharge. So that's about the whole thing I can tell you about at this time.
Let me ask you some question. Where did you sleep? What did you eat?
We ate mostly sea rations, and sometimes we had hot food when we went back. See, we would go up to the front, and at nighttime we would pull back to our base camp, maybe 2 miles behind the line. And sometimes they had hot food for us. Otherwise, we'd eat sea rations. Now, when we were on the assault, when we were on the attack, we had what they called the assault rations, which consisted of a can of fruit, some cheese, and stuff like that.
Wow. What was your favorite Serration menu?
Well, my sea rations, I would say, would be pork and beans, hot dogs and pork and beans, the hamburger meat. The one I didn't like was the corned beef hash.
I see. Yeah, many didn't like it.
No.
So when you were in patrol in the front line, you were not, just walking all around it, right?
No, we had different assignments. Depends on whether we were on a defense or offense. When we were on the offense, we had to stay behind the line and maybe make temporary roads and also make trails for, I don't know if you know this, you should know this though. We had civilians working for the Army, and they would carry food, bullets, and stuff like that
Yep.
up to the front line. We would ensure that they'd be able to get up there. And that's about the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then also we had to repair roads. If they drop artillery and bomb the roads, we had to fill in the roads, the holes in the road, and stuff like that.
What were you thinking when you see your friends being killed, and you're nervous? What were you thinking? Did you talk to yourself that what the hell am I doing here?
No, I was horrified. When you see something like that, you're dramatized, would you say. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to be next. That was your big concern. But to tell you the truth, maybe you don't know this, but I was very religious. I was brought up by my grandparents. I was a Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and I was very religious. And I always had my Bible, and I always had my rosary with me.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I still have the cross I had around my neck in Korea. I still got it at home.
So you pray?
Oh yeah. I prayed that everything would go, because you never know what's going to happen. Like my company commander, how in the heck did we know that he was going to jump into a minefield and get killed? So then another deal was when we on January the 2nd, 1951, the Chinese infiltrated the refugees that were coming streaming back down. They were coming back, and they was in droves. The old Papa Sans with the A-frames carrying all the equipment and all that, well, they infiltrated them to get behind our lines. But on January 2nd, our outpost, when we were laying mines for them, I got pictures of the area that we were laying mines. And what happened is they got around us, and our outpost spotted, they were streaking across this ridge, and our outpost opened up on them, and they started shooting back with their burp guns as they were running. And after that, we got orders to pull back. We had to pull back across the Han River through Seoul, which was on the 2nd or 3rd of this January, 1951. And we had to go back. I don't know the name of the towns because I say there were villages, and they didn't have signs in American. They're all in Korean. We were about maybe 30, 35 miles south of Seoul. Maybe not that far, I don't know. But anyway, that's where we stopped. And then we found out that Seoul, our outfit pulled back, and Seoul was captured by the Chinese. And then for about 2 months, it was like attack and pull back, attack and pull back. And that's before we started our spring offense in March the 12th, I think it was. And I'm trying to think of the name of the town. It was before the Torrey Repel Law where we jumped. Another thing, too, that's where the 187th Airborne made
187.
Airborne made their second jump.
Mm-hmm. To where?
Behind the lines, and we sort of got them trapped, and a lot of them gave up. When our job was a mountain road. We had to widen the mountain road.
Wire?
Wide it, made it
wide.
big,
Oh, okay.
because our big tanks, a big 155 artillery self-propelled could not get through without the road being widened. So our job was to widen the road for about a mile, I think it is, something like about a mile. And we had 80 Chinese gave up. And
You were there in widening the road?
yeah, we were widening the road, yeah.
How did you widen the road?
We had a tank, you know, the tank.
Yep.
It was a tank that it wasn't used to shoot. It had a bulldozer blade on it.
Yep. Yep.
And they used to call us the Heiser's Tigers
Mm-hmm.
with the bulldozer's blade on the tank. And we used that to widen the road. And where we hit rock, we had to detonate it to break up the rock, to widen it.
Is that closer to Iron Triangle or
No.
where are you
this
talking?
this is before Kumsong. It was
So south of Kumsong,
yeah, south of Kumsong.
far south or just?
No, not south. We were about maybe 20 miles north of Seoul, I would say. Like I say, I can't tell you for sure. But anyway, we jumped off, and 187 jumped off, and we captured quite a few prisoners. And then from there on, we started moving up. Then we had to pull back again. What happened was they got misinformation where the South Korean rock divisions pulled back, and we didn't know anything about it. And when they pulled back, we would start getting Chinese to infiltrate our flanks. That I know for sure because the Chinese set up a roadblock, and we had to go through a roadblock to get back. And then they pulled back up forward again. I think this was in March or April. I can't remember. And it's been a long time.
Were you able to write back to your family?
Oh, yeah.
Letter?
Yeah.
Do you keep those?
No. But I got a letter from, when I came home, I got a letter from one of the guys I was with that was under me. And they went on the attack in October 1951. I'm trying to think of the name of the operation, but anyway, they threw them on a line. Actually, they were firing it and attacking on a line with the 19th Infantry, and they had some casualties.
What unit did you belong?
I belonged to A Company,
A company.
3rd Combat Engineers.
Oh, you are in the 3rd.
Right.
What is that independent or was belong to any regiment?
3rd Combat Engineer Battalion. We're a battalion.
Battalion.
I was in A Company.
Okay. What was the most difficult thing in your memory during your service in Korea? What was the most difficult thing? What was the thing that you really hated or
Well,
anything that stick in your memory?
to see people die, that was traumatic. You know, it's hard to accept. But before I got called back in the service, a friend of mine that I went to school with, he was with the 21st Infantry Regiment, and he was one of the first ones in Korea, and he was missing in action on the 11th of July, 1950, at Chechewan. You heard of Chechewan, haven't
Yeah,
you?
Jochuan.
And that's where he went missing in action.
Mm-hmm.
They never recovered him.
Yep.
He
What's
died
his name?
Robert E. Stewart.
So you knew him?
I went to school with him.
What school?
Well, we went to intermediate school. That would be Foch Intermediate and Barber Intermediate. And then when we went into high school, he went into a trade school, and I went into regular high school. He was missing on the 11th of July, 1950.
How did you know about that he's missing?
Well, I was home, and we got the obituary in the paper. I got it in my book,
Oh, I see.
and that's how I know the exact date.
Mm-hmm.
The 11th of July, 1950.
Did you see many Korean people?
Did I see many Korean people?
Yeah.
I saw thousands of them. When we were coming back from North Korea,
Yeah.
it was an endless line of South Koreans moving south, refugees, carrying everything they had on their back. And that's when the Chinese infiltrated them. And but there was thousands of them, for miles.
How were they?
Well, they were. Hey, Papa John's were. I mean, the Papa Sons were pretty old, but still they had the A-frames on. They were carrying their whatever they were carrying. You know.
Many children?
Yeah, some children, but it was miles long.
Were they miserable?
No. They
No?
were very nice people. The only trouble was that the Chinese infiltrated them. And, but to tell you the truth, when we pulled back south of Seoul, when Seoul fell for the last time, we were in a little town about 30 miles south of Seoul. I think it was 30 miles. Like I said, I can't tell you exactly. I didn't know the name of the town. But the little children were there, and I would give them candy from my rations. We had these little chocolate bars, and I would give it to them. And I got pictures of them with the old Papa Sons.
You took the picture?
Yeah,
Did you have a camera?
yep.
Where did you get the camera?
My camera came with me from home.
So you took it from...
I took pictures of everything except the dead. I would not take pictures of the dead or wounded.
Mm-hmm.
That was a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
But I took pictures of various things in Korea.
Have
When
you
we-
been back to Korea?
No.
Do you know what happened after the war?
No, not really. I know that they went through a transformation from years. They expanded and made it a big thing, and now it's a beautiful country, I understand.
Did you see the pictures?
I saw pictures of it, yes. I saw
Yeah.
pictures of Seoul, and I know some guys that went back there.
Do you want to go back?
Well, I don't know. I got my wife is pretty sick, and I'd like to go back, but I don't know. But anyway, I saw pictures, and I didn't know this, that there's a big cathedral, a Catholic cathedral in Seoul.
Yeah. Myeongdong.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And it's a big, beautiful place, I guess. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the extent of it.
Are you proud of your service?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
I was patriotic from 12 years old
Mhm.
when Pearl Harbor was bombed. I mean patriotic.
Mm-hmm. So you are proud that the Korea now is very strong in economy and democracy.
Absolutely. And I feel this way. I feel strongly that I contributed to their success. Even though at the time it was almost rebels. And Seoul was a bombed out town. So
When did you leave Korea?
July the 19th, 1951.
When you left Korea, did you have any hope that the Korea would become like this today?
Well, I had hopes and signs, but I was really doubtful because of the Chinese would intervene, that they would never give up anything back the way it was. Because I had a dim view of communists. To me, they were an evil bunch of people, and still is. I'm sorry if I offend you this, but the North Koreans, they still are as mean as can be. What they did to our boys.
I agree with you.
I got a book called the Suchan Tunnel Massacres. You ever hear that?
Yeah?
And when I read that book, it tells me how those people treated our boys, and they treated them horribly.
You didn't know Korea before you left for Korea, right?
No, I didn't know Korea even existed. I know Japan, but not Korea.
Now you went there to fight against communism.
Yeah.
Now the Korea is one of the wealthiest country in the world.
Yep, that's great.
And so what is Korea to you now?
Well, I feel this way. I feel that I contributed to their success. Now, you may not agree with me,
You
but
did.
this is the way I feel.
I agree.
So at least I contributed my service to help those people.
Do you have grandchildren or
No.
great-grandchildren?
No, my wife could not have children
Oh,
right from when we first got married. I've been married next month will be 57 years. No, unfortunately, we couldn't have children.
oh, okay. Any other message or comments that you want to leave to this interview?
No, other than I'm very proud of my service. I was patriotic from a 12-year-old boy in the Boy Scouts, helping our efforts for the Second World War. We went on paper drives. I worked in a USO where they entertained the troops and fed the troops and stuff like that. And we were contributing our service, setting up tables and what have you.
I would like to thank you again for sharing your stories with me, and we'll remember your contribution and your honorable service. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.